Hey, wrestling fans, welcome to the One Wing Wrestling Podcast, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bring you the best matches, world class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Wing Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. I'm your host, Krishna and join me as always is Mr. Bill Cupbush. Bill, how's it going?
It's going. We got a storm coming in. It's a weird day. We had a family event last night, so we're recording at a strange time for us. So unfortunately, you're not going to get the prediction element of this week's show. No news updates. We're just going to get right into last night's Dynamite that we've both watched. Do you want to get going, Krishna?
Let's do this.
Okay, let's. So AEW last night was Winter is Coming from Garland, Texas at the Curtis Culwell Center. We had Taz Excalibur and Tony Schiavone on commentary. And we open with the only match you need to see. I'm just kidding. We open with the
Agreed.
Elite versus Death Triangle in match 4 of their best of 7 for the AEW Trios Championships. Now, I'm just going to stop for a second and mention two signs I saw in the audience. One, Takeshita is the GOAT.
True.
So clearly not a terrible sign. And the other one was I heart Krisha. And I just like to point out, people, it's spelled Krishna with an N, okay? Krishna. So I appreciate the love you're giving to my broadcast partner here, but please put the N in next
Yeah,
time.
guys, spell my name properly. Come on.
Yep. Anyway, this match, I mean, well, okay, it's the Elite versus Death Triangle, right? The moves were basically what I totally expected from this bunch. We got a bunch of amazing high flying, hard hitting counters. It was the usual stuff. Kenny with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Matt jumps in with a springboard drop kick while Kenny's still holding him. I mean, stuff like that. It was just amazing. Um, but the story was really the point to this whole match. Nick ended up tweaking his ankle partway in. He tagged out just after that. He was limping on it. He was checking it out. Brandon was, of course, spraying it with the spray. He refused some tags. Eventually, they pointed out a real medical person was looking at him because at first it was just Brandon.
Yeah.
And he was okay. So Nick gets taken to the back in what is AEW's favorite tag team trope. I'd just like to point this out. Partner goes to the back. You think he's coming back? You think he's coming back out quick? Yeah. Anyway, Matt gets worked over for a long time at this point because it's just Matt and Kenny versus the three of them. Matt eats a triple drop kick to kneeling. I mean, that looked painful. Pac and Kenny, when they get in the ring, I mean, they just continue their insane level of chemistry. It's nuts. But then we get a Penta fear factor to Matt on the apron, and Matt is out. So Nick's in the back. Matt is like out cold next to the ring from this fear factor on the apron. And this leaves Kenny alone against all three of them. And I mean, these aren't three jobbers. We'll get to jobbers later. These aren't three jobbers. So, I mean, it was Kenny gets beaten down for a while too. Nick makes his triumphant return after Kenny gets nailed by a ton of double teams. And Nick gets tagged in. But then Penta pulls out the hammer again and uses it on Nick's ankle that was already injured. Ray locks in an inverted knee bar. Nick taps out.
I saw this match and I thought to myself, we kept talking, how are they gonna reinvent? What are they gonna do, right? What are they gonna do for each match? Um, and they just keep doing something new. Now, I have to obviously, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be giving a shout out to my boy Kenny, but man, is this guy the god of wrestling? The way that he sells, how fast he moves. Like, I love that double team Kotaro Crusher that they do now, where Matt Jackson kind of like holds that guy up and Kenny kind of leapfrogs over Matt's head and does the crusher. I absolutely love that move. And the whole like where he holds the guy on his shoulders, like he fireman carries them and does the
Mm.
flip onto the rope and does the flip over. Like absolutely amazing. I do like the story this time. I really did like the story that, I was like, wait, are the Bucks and Omega the faces here? Like I'm always confused, and they definitely are. They're fully embracing the face persona. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Now, was this match the best out of the seven? Now that's really hard to judge because I'm like every single match they have, I just want more and more and more of it. Right. I think this probably was maybe the shortest of all three, but oh, sorry, all four. But I like the outcome. I like the odds are now stacked against them. I love the story that's carrying on here. I as usual, I absolutely I absolutely adored this match. This match was absolutely fantastic. Like, if you didn't know, if we before if we were going to call it match of the night, I was obviously going to call this one my match of the night, and it is my match of the night. So no big surprise there. I just these guys, like all these guys, all the and also another sign that was in the audience. Someone had a sign that said "Who farted?" and Kenny walks over to the to the ropes and he points at the guy and he points at himself, and I'm like. I'm like, all right, Kenny, you're such a clown. But no. These like honestly, like, what did they do after this? Like, I know what's happening. I know what's
Well, yeah,
coming.
we know
But
what they're doing after this. They planned out the next three matches.
I mean, but my question is, after the series is over, what happens, right? Because I'm like, how do you follow up these
Yeah.
guys? Like, how do you follow this up?
Yeah, that's a very good question because I mean, with Dynamite without these matches on them, I mean, I guess you'll just have to make sure they're in other matches on the
Yeah.
show because I mean, Dynamite without the Elite, Dynamite without Death Triangle, it's
Oof.
just not the same,
No, no.
because they don't have anyone else. I mean, as good as everyone in this company is, they don't have anyone that's the Elite.
Yeah,
The only way they're
agreed.
going to top this is if
100%.
they sign Will Ospreay, right?
Yeah, no, and I'm in 100% agreement with you. I was like, okay, are they gonna sign like people from the United Empire and stuff like that? And like, yeah, Death Triangle, and not Death Triangle, sorry, House of Black. We'll talk about them later. They would be an awesome
Oh yeah,
trios team to fight
oh
the
yeah, yeah,
Elite.
yeah. Yep,
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
yep.
But no, thoroughly enjoy this match. Absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic
me
match
too.
of the night
Match of
for
the
me.
night. Match of the night. And you named all the move spots that I was. Oh, I love that Kenny the fireman carry slam
Mhm.
into the springboard moonsault off the rope. It's just so good, so good, and so fast. I mean, that's what
Yes,
just blows my
yes.
mind is how fast these guys move. Right.
Mhm.
Anyway, Kenny gets a mic after the match and he says, well, there's going to be enough talking in this show as it is, reminding us that this is, in fact, all elite talking. It is not for you or the people at home. It's for you. He points to Death Triangle. 3-1 deficit is bad. Every match you use the hammer. How about next match? We make the hammer legal. I'm not really one to lay down the hammer, though, so let's make all weapons legal. We're sick of playing by your rules, so let's make it so there's no rules, no DQ. And that's just about it. And later on, we get announced too that the match after that will be no holds bar, or no, sorry, falls
Mhm.
count anywhere.
Anywhere,
And
yeah,
then the final match, assuming we get to the final seven, which of course we will,
we
is
will
going to be
obviously,
an Escalera de Muerte,
which translates to ladder.
death ladder.
Because I was like, when Excalibur said it was like the Escalera de Muerte, the ladder match. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Muerte means death.
It
Do
does. It means
do
ladder of death.
do all Spanish people call ladders Escalera de Muertes? I didn't know this.
A lot of Spanish people have died on ladders. Okay. No,
So
it's
yeah,
just
so
it's the much cooler lucha term for a ladder
I
match,
love
right?
it.
Yeah, I know.
I like. Do you remember the Young Bucks versus uh
Yes, I
the
do.
Lucha Brothers ladder match?
Mhm.
It was insane, and now we're adding Kenny and Pac.
Please don't kill each
Whew.
other.
I, oh God, they will kill each other.
I know they will, but please don't die. That's all I have to say. Please don't die. I love you guys. I want you to keep wrestling.
They're
So
so
please don't
good.
die. But oh my God, that's going to be our next bunch of matches. So I guess that's how they plan to hang this one out. They did some regular matches. They're like, you guys keep cheating, so we're just gonna go like all out for the next three matches. There's no
Yeah,
rules. Forget it. We're just gonna do whatever we can.
amazing, amazing.
Yep. Okay, well, then we go in the back and MJF cuts a promo. Basically, he says, I'm a star from day one. Ricky wasn't. I'm the one giving him a rub. He tried really hard to make fun of Ricky's promo last week. And poor MJF. No one wants him to win, but he's going to anyway.
Yeah, this again, I know what this promo was for. It's to build the match, whatever. MJF is just play is he's it, Ricky starts his promo one last week, and he even calls it out. He calls it out in this, like, "Oh yeah, you won something last week," blah 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 blah. But now his promos are just like are becoming kind of one note generic heel promos. Like there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
fun about it. Like like you ask like MJF, it can be fun. Like when he starts actually talking about real things, like he starts making fun of Ricky Starks for being poor and for fighting and stuff like that. I'm like, I guess you're doing the regular heel stuff. Sure. Okay, fine. Then these are again. this is where it became all elite talking, as Kenny was going to point out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, sure. I mean, this did nothing for me. Like, this didn't excite me more for the match because, again, we knew what was going to happen at the end of the day, right? So yeah, it's I was like, all right, cool. Like, I didn't hate this. I didn't like it. It was just I was indifferent for it.
Yeah, I was bored. It's to be honest, I'm tired of MJF, and you know what it is too.
Mhm.
Like old school heel
Yeah.
promo, right? He hits all the notes, but that's just the thing. That's just it's like saying, you know what? I don't care what anyone else does. I'm going to wear 1960s clothes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's fine if that's what you want to do. You do you, right? But
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean everyone around you is going to react or go, gee, I've seen that a million times before. But anyway, yeah,
Well,
MJF, you have
very,
great enunciation, you have great
yeah,
character on the mic, but the content needs to be there.
very, very WWE ish, like
Oh
everything
yeah,
about this. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yep. So I mean, his push for his ad to go to a different company continues. So good
Yeah.
job, MJF. I'll be happy to not have you around in 2024. Anyway, the Acclaimed comes out for my absolute favorite
I
Max
was
Caster
gonna
rap
say.
segment in history. Jay Lethal and crew immediately attack the Acclaim from behind just as the rap starts. Jeff Jarrett cracks his guitar over Max's head. I mean, if only this was someone other than these guys, though, right? And Jarrett's just like, yo, Acclaim, do we have your attention now? Scissor this, you slap nut.
Yeah, I when this happened, I thought to myself, uh, is Jeff Jarrett and and Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal and Zad, and I'm saying now Bill's favorite faction because they literally ran out and destroyed the Acclaimed. Like it's funny because Max is rapping and in the background you can see Bowens and Billy Gunn getting beaten up. He doesn't even know it till the last
Yeah.
moment. No, I thought this was good. I thought this was a good way to do things because you're like, remember last week when they flashed to the back the back room and you're like, why why are these guys looking at the claims, right?
Right.
What's going on here? But yeah, hey, they followed up with it. Apparently they messed with them. So there you go. There's your new quote unquote feud. Do I love it? No, I don't. I really don't. But you know what? I mean, Jay Lethal's, we know we've said this before. He's so good. He's so fantastic. So I will suffer through a little bit of Jeff Jarrett to get some Jay Lethal. But who knows? Maybe this kind of like propels like the Acclaim a little bit because to me they're getting a bit bland. Like even though they beat FDR last week, they're getting a bit like again, like MJF, a bit one notes. Not that the wrestling, it's kind of like, is it maybe the competition you have right now is just kind of like we should have been so excited for that FTR Clay match last week, but there was barely any build up. There's barely anything, and then they just beat at the they just beat FTR. So I was like, okay. So yeah, I laughed at the segment. I laughed. I think I laughed more because I'm like, oh my god, is Bill gonna be a new Jeff Jarrett fan? Um, so yeah, no, I like this.
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. I'm not going to lie. Watching the Acclaim get beaten under rings, I didn't have to listen to Max Caster. No one talked about scissoring other than Jeff Jarrett. I was like,
Mhm.
this is pretty great, guys. This is pretty great. Jarrett, you know, I was kind of bored with your return. You've at least moved up to a decent level in my book now because, if anyone's going to get guitar shots, it should be Max Caster. So yeah, I was pretty cool with this. And but they can't be my favorite faction because this was surrounded by all my other favorite factions, right? I mean,
That's
just
right.
continuously reminding me how awesome they were. Because on one side we had Death Triangle and the Elite, and the other
Hmm.
side we had the Jericho Appreciation Society. So and Jericho says, yeah, I'm gonna take out my frustrations tonight. He lost the title to Claudio. He's gonna take his frustrations tonight on some jobber. Until he gets his rematch against Claudio, because Claudio is basically a flash in the pan. Then Jericho told Daniel Garcia that he should never have lost the pure title to Wheeler Yuta at Final Battle, and that he has to shadow his elder, Sammy Guevara. Sammy says, okay, this starts on Rampage. I'm going to face Mox. And Jake still likes his hat.
Yeah, I laughed during this segment because I love how Jericho's like, yeah, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna beat some jobber, and then I'm gonna get back on the horse. And I love
Mm-hmm.
when he goes to Garcia, Yeah, you should never have lost that. So the minute he said, "I'm gonna put you up with your elder," I knew immediately it was gonna be Sammy. Just
Yeah,
the way he was acting, and
exactly.
when then it's, I love that. I love that.
Hmm.
Just the, you know, that this is gonna turn Garcia again, because it's Sammy and everyone hates Sammy. So I love it. And guys, come on, Sammy Guevara is an elite wrestler. It doesn't matter how you guys, how people hate him. He is amazing. So yeah, I love the segment. These are the talking segments I prefer. The
Hmm.
MJF segment, no. This one, great. So JAS, they're awesome. They're so awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. I could listen to them continuously. I'm a little worried Jake is overdoing the hat gimmick. He needs to calm down just a little bit, or it's going to become tired
I
quickly.
like this hat.
So yes, he needs to stop saying it every single promo. He needs to calm down a little and just bring it up occasionally. Just wear it. It's good enough that you're wearing the hat, Jake. Okay, but like chill out a little. But no, excellent promo. I love the idea of Garcia and Guevara. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Well, then we move on to Brian Cage versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry. And these two have basically the kind of match I would expect these two to have. This was a
Yep.
solid match, a lot of good moves in the match. The end comes basically when Jungle Boy hit Cage with a Canadian Destroyer for two. He locks in, Jungle Boy locks in the snare trap, but the ref gets distracted by Prince Nana, and so she doesn't see Cage tap out. Then Brian Cage going after Jungle Boy again. Jungle Boy dodges. Brian Cage's lariat hits Prince Nana, and then he used Cage's momentum to roll him up for the 3 count.
Yeah, these two guys are great. Jungle Boy, look, I really liked how the match started, where Jungle Boy was moving so quickly. Cage also, who moves very quickly, but he couldn't move that mountain of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he, when he was trying to knock him over, he literally throws himself at Cage. Cage doesn't even budge.
Yeah.
Like literally bouncing off of him. I was like, this makes sense. This is like, you look at these two people, you're like, okay, this Jungle Boy's like a little baby fighting a grown man here, right? I love how Cage was just literally just playing with him, and it took everything out of Jungle Boy to take Cage down even one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Cage, let's give credit to Cage. Like, what I do like about a lot of these wrestlers is that the way they can sell things, and Cage can sell. This guy can, like, the biggest, it's because the way he moves, he can sell like Hurricanranas. He can sell all these things happening to him, right? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
love that move where he stands on the second rope. He basically suplexes the person back into the ring. Like, yeah, like he doesn't need Jungle Boy's momentum to do that. He can literally lift him up
Yeah, exactly.
from there. So yeah, again, another match I thoroughly enjoy because it's progressing a story. And again, I'm happy to see Brian Cage back in the ring so frequently now. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I really like this match.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a great match. I enjoyed it a lot too. You're dead on about Brian Cage. I mean, selling is the most important aspect of
Mhm.
wrestling, to be quite honest. Because if you can't sell, you just look like a wall in the ring.
Yeah.
You make the match look bad when your opponent hits you, right? If you
Yeah.
don't know how to sell your opponent's stuff, you make your opponent look like garbage.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I mean, the fact that he gave Jungle Boy that much, right? I mean, can sell the moves and stuff, and ends up getting beaten as well. Not
Mhm.
not like by any of the finishers, although he did tap
Yep.
out to the snare trap.
He did. Yep.
But he gets caught in a roll up. It still keeps
Mhm.
Brian Cage looking pretty strong. I mean,
Yep.
he
Yep.
did tap out to the snare trap, but it still keeps him up there. And Jungle Boy, I mean, hey, he's found his new gimmick, which is basically
Mhm.
Giant Killer, because he gets a mic and he says he's taken out Luchasaurus, he's taken out Brian Cage. Now he wants Big Bill. And then I had to call AEW and inform them I am not currently available to wrestle. I'm
Big Bill.
sorry. So instead, he decides to go after W. Morrissey. So Lee Moriarty and Big Bill, I resent you taking my name, attack him, and they beat him down for a while, and then eventually Jungle Boy gets choke slammed by Big Bill, and then of all the musics to hit, Hook's music hits.
Yeah.
Hook comes to the ring. They're very scared of Hook, so they leave, which I didn't quite understand either. I'm like, really? Big Bill can't take out Hook?
Hook. Yeah, yeah.
But
I guess I don't know. And the funny part is Hook strolls to the ring. He doesn't run. He
mm-hmm,
just
yeah.
strolls in an angry way to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess this is well. First off, the fact that Jungle Boy has this new like thing where he's going after the big guys, right? I like that. You're right, giant killer kind of thing, a la Rey Mysterio from WCW kind of thing that's
Mm-hmm.
happening. So I like this. Um, I was a little confused with the hook entrance, but I guess if you're going to pair hooks up with, sorry, I said hooks, or you pair hook up with someone, um, why not Jungle Boy, right? Jungle Boy is so over with well, I guess they're both really over with the fans, except Hook is not doing anything, right? He's
Right.
he's not doesn't have a big a feud with anybody. So I guess what they did was because Hook, the last match he had, I believe it was against Moriarty, where he beat Moriarty up. I guess that's why he came out to help Jungle Boy.
Mm-hmm.
But I who knows? Like I want to see where this is going. I hope next week they address why Hook came out, why
Mm-hmm.
he's helping Jungle Boy, and what they're actually going to be doing. Um, but I didn't hate this. I liked it. I really liked obviously Jungle Boy. I want to like Hook more, but it's still not there for me. I'm not one of the fans that go absolutely crazy when his music hit. I think he's good. I think he's good. I just think he needs a little bit more personality. And that's it. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, exactly. Strong, silent type.
yeah.
Um, on a guy who looks like he just got out of high school. Okay. I know you guys like your memes. That's fine. Um, I like Hook's wrestling a lot.
Hmm.
He's
Hmm.
good. Pairing him with Jungle Boy, that actually gives him a little flair,
Hmm.
right? It gives him a
Hmm.
little bit like it's a good pairing because you take a
Hmm.
guy that has right now a one note personality and you put him with someone like Jungle Boy. Like Jack Perry has come a long way.
Awesome.
He's got a
So
lot
good.
more fire. He's so good in the ring. You pair like that kind of a high flying fast guy with a suplex machine and it's a pretty cool tag team,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the hot tags that either one of them could make to the other would be quite good.
Hmm.
Both of them can win out of nowhere with submission moves, right? It's actually an intriguing tag team to
Hmm.
me. I like
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
It just needs an identity. So you're right.
Yeah.
What we need are those explanations.
As
Why?
to why. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it would have been nice for them to have like handed Hook a mic right then and have him say something and explain it, but it is aid all elite talking, so they have to build up some more talking segments for next week. We can't just get it over now. But anyway, yeah, no, it was fine. It was fine. Good match and a decent segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Then we have a Blackpool Combat Club promo in the back, and Mox says, "If you're confused about what's going on with us, I said we'd make a statement. Yuta pounded a man into submission. Claudia swung a man until he almost puked. I choked down Takeshita like a sack of potatoes." And Claudia says, 2023, we're putting everyone on notice. If you think you're good, we're better. Yuta basically says, we're going to kill you. And
Yeah.
Moxley says, one last worm to stomp out. Sammy Guevara, you're a gutsy kid. So gutsy, I think you'll show up on Rampage. And I promise I will stomp your face and leave you for dead. And Hangman Page, I always say you know where to find me. And bring your Dark Order buddies too if you want.
Mox being Mox. Mox taking the reins as the leader of the Blackpool Combat Club. I love this. Like he's so good on his promos. Um, again, him and Eddie Kingston. It's like, guys, wrestling isn't real. Or sorry, wrestling is scripted. Like, have you asked Mox and Kingston if wrestling is real? Because I'm pretty sure they're thinking it's real. But I no, I thoroughly enjoy this. I love the fact that Yuta is speaking more often now. I just love that. I love the challenge to Hangman, and we'll get to Hangman in a bit because wow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is so good. Mox, when are you going on vacation, man? Like, come on. What the hell? Like you don't seem that you're leaving at any point, right? So I do like the fact that you called out Takeshita. Hey, you said you choked him out like a bag of potatoes. Interesting. Interesting. You're basically putting down a baby face. So how is that gonna work? But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I like these little things they're sprinkling here. So no, I it's John Moxley. I love this.
Yeah. And what I loved is like Mox sits in that area too, where he doesn't have to be one or the other because
No.
he's basically a guy the crowd will get behind continuously who is allowed to trash anybody because that's just
Hmm.
who he is. He will
Yeah.
fight anybody. He doesn't care who it is. Right. So yeah, this was 100% Mox being. I love the way he's taken the reins as the leader. It's
Yeah.
so good. Apparently, during that promo with William Regal, I heard that he had no idea what Regal was going to say on his way out. Like he had never seen that video before until
Oh.
that exact moment in the ring, and that's why he was just kind of like, "Okay," and he moved on. So you can see him kind of go, "What?" And it was like, "Okay," and he just changed the subject to something completely
Oh wow.
different.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that's why
Yep.
he reacted that way. Okay.
Yep. Apparently, I have no 100% proof of that, but I heard that on I think it was Wrestling Observer Radio last week. But anyway, the yeah. So no, I enjoyed this, and you're right. Wheeler Yuta has come a long way. He used to be such a boring promo, but I think
Mhm.
hanging around with like Mox on a regular basis, getting to talk to Danielson, Regal, all those guys. No, I'm not going to put Castagnoli in there because his promos are still pretty
They're
basic. They're
they're
not
they're
terrible.
terrible.
They're just mid.
I'm gonna beat
Um,
you up.
yeah, yeah, anyone, blah, blah. Anyway, yeah, no, but Yuta now is a better promo than Castagnoli.
Mhm.
So yeah, good job. I enjoyed this. Well, then we get the House of Black, and they come out with their incredibly awesome entrance. And
Mhm.
they're taking on because they're starting off in the bottom of the ladder apparently, so they have to first take out the gatekeepers of the bottom rung, the factory. So they're going up against QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, and Cole Carter, and they have Nick Camarado out there with them. Well, the match doesn't even open yet, and Julius spits black mist into Camarado's eyes. And all I'm going to say is the factory is then utterly obliterated. Malaki just sits in the corner looking at QT, just like staring at him like a predator sizing up his prey. He finally stands up, one black mask, and I'm going to keep calling it the black mask until you name it
Mhm.
something, Malaki. For the love
Mhm.
of God, it's not just a kick. And QT is down. And that was the match.
Yeah, this did exactly what it needs to do. Like it's just propelling these guys. Like it's I love the fact that the match didn't start and Matthews and King just obliterate the entire faction.
Mm-hmm.
They like poor Aaron Solo gets taken out by Brody King. And then Buddy takes out both the other two, right? That move he did, so he puts I forgot who he put on the table,
I think he
and then
put
he does
Lee on the table,
Lee on the
right?
table, and then he picked up the other guy and he
Cole
tried to
Carter.
do
Yeah.
Cool Heart, yeah. And he kind of does like a kind of spike suplex, I guess that's what it was. And
It
the
almost looked like a
table,
Michinoku driver
yeah,
without the sit out.
yeah, and the table didn't break.
Yeah.
I was like, ow.
Yeah, exactly. Just two guys
Right?
on the table
And
dead.
then and then I love the commentary, and the two leaders are just staring at each other in the ring.
Hmm.
Well, Malachi was just staring at
Oh my God, he looked
QT.
so
Yeah.
cool.
Whereas QT was just like looking around trying to figure out what to do. And the one black mask. So this is so cool. These guys are so awesome. Building up how tough they are. Oh, yeah, I can't wait for more House of Black. Well, I'm so happy to have them back.
Yep, I know. It was an absolute utter obliteration. It was like they were in the ring with the worst of the worst jobbers in history and just like obliterated them all over. It was so good.
Yeah, so awesome.
Yeah, no, I loved this match. Absolutely loved it, even though it was like 10 seconds long, because
Oh yeah.
it was storytelling. It did exactly
Mhm.
what it needed to do. The House of Black is back, and they're going to wreck everything.
Yep.
Then we get a brief promo. Hikaru Shida's talking about beating Jamie Hayter. Hayter reminds her because they're setting up for their match next
Mhm.
week on Dynamite. And then we go in the back, and Britt is back there with Renee and Rebel. And she's like, well, Sheeta won't beat Jamie. I beat Sheeta. Jamie's going to do fine, right? And then Sky Blue interrupts them. And she says, look, everyone in the back can hear you. You're so good at talking, but can you wrestle? So let's wrestle Friday. And then my favorite line of the promo, Britt turns to Rebel and goes, is that Sky Blue? And she just goes, look, I'm the face of the women's division. Was it? Fine, I'll see you Friday. So they set up
Yeah.
a match between Britt Baker and Sky Blue.
Good, good. You know what? Get Britt into more matches. Get Sky into more matches.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. As you said, Sky Blue's getting better. And Britt Baker is just so much fun. Like she's so good on the mic. It's just so much personality. It just oozes out of her. that I just hope she's not like underutilized. But we know where this is heading anyway. So yeah, no, I like this promo. I'm glad they're just getting more matches going. And yeah, this is great.
Yep. Yeah, I enjoyed this too. Like I said, my favorite line was is that sky blue?
That's guy blue.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're gonna get the Chris Jericho cleanup match because he's gonna go take out a jobber. It's Chris Jericho versus Action Andretti. And Jericho beats him
Yeah.
down in 3 minutes, and that was the match, right? Right? Is that what happened? Anyway. So Action Andretti didn't even get an entrance. And I would like to point out, everybody, Action Andretti was flagged by Mr. Krishna Denai a few weeks ago as a wrestler to watch.
Yes, he
Okay.
was.
Yep. Jericho beats down Andretti to start this off because he's going after a jobber, right? I gouge. There's a let's go jobber chant. The beatdown continues. Jericho isn't even bothering to do anything at this point, but just chop him and stomp him, like just contempt,
Mm-hmm.
right? But Andretti counters into a tornillo for 1. But this pisses Jericho off. Like this guy dared to cover him, this jobber. So he starts beating on him again. He gets a Death Valley driver on him. There's a let's go jobber chance again and a code breaker. And Andretti kicks out. The crowd goes absolutely
Mm-hmm.
ballistic when Andretti kicked out of this code breaker. I mean, there was a standing ovation for him. All right. So Jericho keeps beating him down some more in the ring, throws him out of the ring, lays him into the steps. He gets back in the ring and does the come on, baby pin for 1. Andretti just flips and he like glares at him afterwards, like, what are you doing? Stay down, kind of thing. Andretti then gets a brief comeback, but his split-legged moonsault eats knees. But there, at least he's getting some moves in. Then he dodges a Judas effect. He does a huge dive to the outside. Back in the ring, he does a running shooting star press, covers Chris Jericho. 1, 2, 3. And the crowd, I have never seen them explode like that. And I wrote down literally, what the did I just see?
Uh, shocked, absolutely shocked. When I saw Andretti in the ring, I'm like, oh my god, so good for Andretti. Like I love the way this guy's wrestles. He's so young. Like giving him a chance to go up against Jericho. And I always say, Jericho, thank you so much for helping these young guys. Like and no
Yeah.
one can say he doesn't help his young guys. The ending, holy crap! I'm like, okay, I thought Andretti was gonna put on a show. I thought he was going to, um, bring it to Chris Jericho. Like Jericho's gonna sell for him. But the fact that when Jericho wasn't selling stuff, and I'm not,
Mhm.
I shouldn't say he wasn't selling stuff. Like that was part of the story. He wasn't like
Yeah.
Jericho was just better. I was like, okay, is this gonna be a squash match? And when the crowd got behind him, I was like, wow, listen to that audience. I can't believe, is this his hometown or something like that? But yeah, I love the fact the crowd got behind him, standing ovation. They were cheering. And when he hits that final move and gets the pin, I was like, oh my God, Chris Jericho, thank you so much for like laying down for this kid. This is such a huge boost.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the GOAT. Like I can't believe like you did something like this, right? So I was
Yeah.
so let's say, like happy. I was so impressed by Chris Jericho doing this. And look what it does. It starts a storyline now. The
Right.
leader of the JAS just got pinned by practically a nobody, right?
Yep. Which
So
else?
yeah,
Yeah.
I love this. I love this.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it gives him an excuse to go off and sulk now while he's on tour.
Exactly.
Right. And
Exactly.
Jericho always said, if you read his books, right, he talks about how you should leave. If you're gonna take a break, if you're gonna leave a company, how you leave.
Mhm.
Right. Like the one time he left being like carried out, kicking, screaming, and crying, right? Like from WWE, right? So, if you're gonna go out, you're supposed to go out in a way that is memorable and helps the company. And he did both here. So kudos to Jericho. He is one of the greatest of all time in that ring. He's one of the best people that you could possibly think to have in the back. Team player to the max, right?
100%,
I
yeah.
mean, the guy, he's just so good. And Action Andretti, I mean, he looked so good in this match
Yep.
too. I mean, he has that really like high flying offense, fast. I mean, he's only been wrestling since 2019.
Hmm.
So he's only got 3 years of experience. He's only 24 years old, and he was born in Philadelphia, by the way. So this is not his
Oh,
hometown.
not even his hometown.
No,
Wow.
not
Good. Well,
even his
good on the
hometown.
fans. Good
Yep.
on the fans for getting behind him.
Well, I think because Jericho had built it up as a jobber, right? So the fans were like, "Hey, so we're going to cheer for the
Cheer
jobber."
for the jobber. Yeah.
But what they didn't realize was that jobber they're cheering for is actually going to
Going to
win.
win. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the crazy part. Like just the standing ovation when he kicked. I mean, it's just so much fun watching this match. So much fun. And the crowd is what really made the match too, right? They were clearly the third wrestler in this match because my God.
And I have a quick message for Action and Andretti. Hey, if you ever decide to, maybe start wrestling in trios matches, there's a team called Top Flight that I think you'd fit in pretty well with.
Yes, this is true. This is true. In case they need someone other than AR Fox, right?
That's true. It's very
Yep.
true.
Then we get a Ricky Starks promo, and Ricky Starks says he's building up the match. Chris says, "No one cares about your ratings, MJF, or you being a draw. People want to see me wrestle. People want to support me. You don't know what that's like. I'm a reflection of what you want to be."
Yeah. No, I enjoyed Ricky Starks' promos because they're better than MJF's, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like this. I like how again, I do kind of enjoy these like mini build ups to the matches.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, this was like I at this point again, I knew what was happening. I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
get the match in and out, and yeah, I love Ricky Starks. I think he's so awesome. So yeah, I like this.
Yeah, no, it was fine. It was fine. It was a good promo. I like
Yeah,
his promo, but like you, I was like, Ricky, we know where this is
we
going.
know what's
Okay.
happening. Yeah.
So, and that for me, that always takes away when it is
Yeah,
just
agreed.
so telegraphed. You know exactly how the event's going to go down, right?
Yeah,
Then we get Ruby Soho versus Ty Mello in the ring. Ty attacks Ruby before the match. It was a good match. There was some hard hitting stuff, some good brawling around the ring. I like the Gotch pile driver from Tay. Ruby eventually wins the match with the destination unknown. And then after the match, Anna Jay attacks Ruby and Laser.
yeah. So I actually like this match. You're right, hard hitting. Like they just were
Mm-hmm.
fighting. Like they were just like punching each other in the face, throwing themselves into the barricades. Ruby hit her with the DDT on the ramp. So yeah, I thought this was really good. Very, very. Like, there were some like when Ty kicked Ruby in the face. Oh my god! Like damn, I was like that looks like it hurt bad. Ruby looking a little bit different because yeah, she got that reconstructed nose, right? I'm like, does
Mm-hmm.
Ruby Solo look a little different right now? Because it's her nose.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I like this match. I like the attack at the ending because it does carry a storyline. Hey, get Ruby, get Anna, get Ty back into like the main card. Why
Mm-hmm.
not? Like these, like you have these women. Why do you insist on having them wrestle on dark the entire time? And push other people that shouldn't be pushed. So like I like this match. It was solid. I didn't see botches or anything like that. And yeah, I thought I liked the way it carried. I was kind of wondering who was gonna come out and save Ruby, but no one did. So I was like, okay,
Yep.
it's interesting who's gonna like where this is going. But yeah, I like this match.
Yeah, no, it was solid. It was good stuff. Yeah, Tay has improved so much. We say
Hmm.
this every week, but I mean, this match just proved it. You're in the ring with someone like Ruby Soho who can go for days, and you put on a match like that. This was good stuff. This
Hmm.
belonged on the card. This was like another really solid women's match from AEW. It was a solid match. Never mind women's match. It was a solid match from AEW. So yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. The hard hitting was great. I love the spot where Ruby was like messing with her nose near the end, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you see how that feels. You see how that feels, right? Like it was pretty cool. So yeah, solid match. Then we get Alex Marvez in the back, and he's trying to get a medical update on Hangman, and Hangman's back there with Evil Uno. And Hangman says, okay, fine, look, I'll give you a status update. I'll give you the one I never gave in October. I was in the ambulance and they started asking me some questions. What's your name? Where are you? Where city are you in? What's that? I was able to answer all those. And then one of the guys looked at her, handed me my cell phone, and it was a picture of my son there. And he's like, "Is that your son?" "Oh yeah, what's his name?" And I didn't know his name. I didn't know his name for a whole hour. He goes, "I've been to hell. That's hell. And if John Moxley wants to fight me this Friday, but if he's going to tempt me to go back to hell, I'm taking his ass with me."
Man, Hangman Page, like this guy, like this was the promo of the night, obviously, right? Because
Hmm.
it's like I'm like, hell, if this like nothing in me that's saying this was fake. What the story he's telling, because I think this is 100% real, is
You
what
could
he's saying.
see
And
his eyes. Yeah.
I was like, yo, hey man, you just gave me the feels, man. I feel so bad for you right now. What the hell, right? And you're like, when you bring in like the human aspect of wrestling, like
Hmm.
it was crazy how he's like, I named the city, I named where we were, I named the arena, and then when I couldn't name my son's name, that's where I realized that I was in hell.
Yep.
And he's like, am I cleared? I don't know, right? But if John, I was like, this is gonna be so awesome, like Hangman versus Mox, like the revenge.
Hmm.
God, Hangman is so awesome. Like I absolutely love Hangman. I love this promo, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yep. No, it is going to be great. And, it kills me because I have seen some comments floating around in the,
Mm.
the internet verse, shall we say, of people going, well, he got injured in a match. I mean, that just happens. He got hurt wrestling. Why is that the basis for a story? I'm like, well, first of all, pretty clearly it's a basis for a story because one, Mox kind of called him out afterwards and was like, you're kind of weak.
Mhm.
And Hangman's like, I've gone through all this hell because of this. I want my shot back.
Yeah,
Right. I mean,
yeah.
there is a clear, emotional, well built story here. So, for those of you who don't know it, I suggest you go take Storytelling 101 in the local community college and learn how to tell a story because it's very clear that this is a good, solid, emotional, real story. Exactly the way I like my wrestling stories. I do not need 1980s heel
Yeah.
101 promos. Okay. I don't need 1980s heel 101 wrestling. What I want is real emotion. This is why Mox works because you can plug him into a match like this with someone like Hangman, who's clearly building up all the sympathy right now. And yet Mox will still have his fans, and I'll still love Mox even if he loses to Hangman. And I'll still love Hangman because of who he is in this match,
Exactly.
right? You
Yep.
can love both of these characters for who they are, right?
Yep.
Like we know who Mox is, we know who Hangman is. The cool thing about this is neither one of them has to play a character.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
being
Be
like
real.
larger than life aspects
Yeah.
of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's
Agreed.
what makes it
Agreed.
so great.
Yep.
Well, then we get to the main event. We have Ricky Starks versus MJF for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and the Diamond Ring. Diamond Dynamite Ring. Well, this is not a terrible match. There are some
Mhm.
good exchanges to start this. I mean, they do some good back and forth a bit. MJF's playing up the heel to the max. There was a great Liger bomb from Starks. So the one thing I can say, Starks, amazing wrestler.
Mhm.
There was a lot of good stuff in this match. And when MJF is in the ring with a good wrestler, he does pretty well himself. So he did okay as well. Eventually, MJF targeted Ricky's arm, trying to set him up for the salt of the earth, and this became a problem for Ricky. The end of the match starts when Stark spears MJF, but then couldn't capitalize on it because, his arm's out, his arm's hurting too much. He finally gets a lazy cover on him, but then MJF transitions the cover into the salt of the earth. Starks makes it to the rope, but on the second attempt at the armbar, Starks rolls him up for two. There's a bunch of like really fast pin exchanges at this point. The match kind of builds up again to you can feel the climax coming.
Mhm.
Starks then goes for the Rochambeau, but MJF fights out and then he pulls the ref between them. And then once MJF shoves the ref away, he of course low blows Starks and pins him for the three.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate this match, but I didn't actually love this match. You're totally right. Ricky Starks is amazing, right? MJF does well when he is up against amazing wrestlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, my problem is that it's so WWE heel wrestling. You know what I mean? It's like rolled outside the ring, walk around, try to. I'm like, come on. Like, we've seen heels in AEW have awesome matches against people because they'll go out there, they'll fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I, you know me, I'm not a WWE fan, and I don't hide that, and I don't like the heel wrestling, the generic heel wrestling they do, right? It's slower, it's just not for me. And this match wasn't bad. It's just I saw things in it that I was like, I don't like that. I don't. These are the things I stepped away from WWE not to see, right?
Right.
Um, and at the end of it, yeah, it was a good match. Like, yeah, we knew what the finish was gonna be, and I don't like. What do you do with Ricky Starks now? Right?
Yeah.
Like, you've literally put up the dynamite diamond ring. You put up the belt. He's lost both of them. Well, as per cheating from MJF. But
Hmm.
like what's gonna change if Ricky ever fights him again? The same thing's gonna happen, right?
Right.
Yes, we know what the storyline's gonna be going forward, but like, yeah, I just don't know what they're doing with Ricky Starks.
Yeah, no, and you're right. That's I'll start with your first comment about the heel wrestling, right? You're right. There is a way that that kind of a thing in a match makes total sense, right? You'll see Adam Cole do it in a
Mhm.
match, right? Where he'll leave the ring, wander around outside. Because if you're fighting against a guy who's fast, right, and plays a fast game, and that, that's who Ricky Starks is, right?
Mhm.
But here's the thing. If you're a heel that does this all the time, you can't tell that story. But there
Yeah.
is a way to tell a story where it's like, I need to slow this guy down. He wrestles a fast match all the time. I need to keep the pace so slow he can never get momentum. Right. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to wear him down, wear him down, wear him down, wear him down. Right. That's effective heel wrestling against a high flyer. Right. So that makes sense. So I
Mhm.
accept the fact that the heel in those cases can go slower because then when the high flyer gets going, it makes them look that much
Yeah.
better, which is, totally the role of the heel at that point, right? Make the other guy look amazing. Makes sense. That's not what MJF does. MJF does exactly what you said he does. Like that, that's his style any match he's in. He
Yeah.
doesn't wrestle a different style. It's like he's going to pretend he's Ric Flair
That's
24/7,
it. I was
except
gonna say
he's
that. Yeah.
not Ric Flair, right? And that's fine. But and when you know the outcome of the match too, it's like I'm watching this going, okay, so when is MJF going to cheat to win the match?
Yep.
Yeah, because that was going to be the outcome. And then exactly what we said the whole time. What do you do with Ricky Starks after this? Because he threw everything into one match and he failed. But he failed
Yep.
because he was kicked in the nuts. I
Yeah.
mean, okay, great. And he's clearly not even going to be fighting MJF anymore because Brian Danielson comes running out for whatever reason and chases MJF off. Like, okay, so he's just there reminding him I'm here.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I missed it. I don't think the announcers said like, "Yo, Brian Danielson's back." After, remember, he was bedside beside William Regal, right? That's what
Yes.
that was the whole story. So now Brian Danielson is pissed. Yeah, I get the save, but like, it's not really a save. Like, it wasn't like MJF was beating him
Yeah,
down or
it
anything like
wasn't
that,
a
right?
save. MJF
Yeah,
was leaving. He was most of the
yeah.
way up the ramp when Danielson came
And then
out.
Danielson came out, chased him away, and then went in the ring and kind of held up Ricky Starks' hands, and that's it, right?
And
So
and they went off the air with Ricky Starks' music after he lost everything.
yeah, exactly. The very odd choice. Um, I exactly. So they're showing us, and as we said, MJF clearly stated who he was going to be fighting. He said Ricky Starks. He said Brian Danielson. He said Eddie Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's clearly going to be the outline. And now that they're doing the Danielson thing, like, I'm starting to believe that potentially Eddie Kingston may beat MJF for that belt, because MJF clearly said Eddie Kingston is never going to win the big match. He's never going to win the belt. And I was like, are you literally calling out everything that's gonna is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Right. So, and listen, we love Eddie Kingston and the fans love Eddie Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to have like, and I Eddie Kingston will destroy MJF on the mic. Like, I'm sorry, Eddie Kingston is just too real about everything that he'll absolutely just destroy MJF. So that's one thing I'm waiting for. The Danielson stuff, it's like, okay, so do you just throw Danielson at MJF to just get beaten up now? Or are they gonna have like non-title matches to build up? I'm so like, I
I
just
don't
don't know
get
what's
it.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it either because we had a Blackpool Combat Club promo tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Danielson was in the building. Where was Danielson? Is Mox still pissed at Danielson? Like what's going on there, right? That's my big burning question out of him showing us. Wait, you were in the building tonight. Why weren't you with your guys during the promo?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, are you and Mox still mad? Like, what's going on, dude? That's
Yeah.
what I want to know.
Good
That
question.
was my big question coming out of this end is wait, Danielson, Blackpool
You were
Combat
here?
Club? What's up?
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's like Ricky Starks now will go back to the upper mid card.
Oh God, I hope not.
Well, what else are you gonna do with them? I
I
mean,
don't
in,
know.
in
And
all
that's
honesty,
it.
what's gonna happen now, right? I mean, MJF is fighting who? Danielson now, and
Yeah.
like again, how do you build that at all when MJF just refuses to fight? So you know what we're gonna get? All elite talking week after week after week after
Oh
week because that's the only
man.
way MJF will build up his goddamn feuds, talking and the occasional ambush.
Yep.
It is WWE heel 101
101.
to the max, and that's all you
Yeah.
got.
Yep. That sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
I'm like, the thing is, I'm already so bored of this title run. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
over it.
Yep.
And we gotta endure this for God who knows how long,
Yep.
right? So yeah, ugh, I just, it's what I was thinking as you were talking about the MJF matches and how he wrestles and how he had a good match against Ricky Starks. I was thinking, man, when are some of the MJ matches I liked? And I'm like, okay, the Darby Allin match,
Mm-hmm.
the Jungle Boy match.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the people he's wrestling
Wheeler
there,
Yuta.
right?
Yep.
Wheeler Yuta,
Yep.
because he's wrestling awesome wrestlers there who can actually
Yes.
do things that are going to propel him forward, right?
100%. Yep.
Like if he like look at the Mox match. Like let's talk about how he won the belt.
Mm-hmm.
Mox seemed like he was a bit off that night. You know what I mean? It didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was Mox or MJF. Mox seemed a bit off, and that match was just like average. It
Well,
wasn't like
Mox
that. I
needs an
didn't.
opponent one that can take his stuff.
Yep,
You know,
that's
like
true.
that's point number one. He needs somebody who can sell properly, not MJF does okay, but he's not really a good seller per
Yeah,
se.
yeah,
At least
I
not the
agree.
way I think a seller should be. He's not terrible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying MJF sucks
No,
in the ring or
no, no,
anything.
no.
He's pretty much mid. I mean, he's for WWE for AEW. WWE, heck, he's probably a wrestling super god. But
Yeah,
in this company, wrestling is at its prime. When he wrestles guys, you're absolutely right. When he wrestles guys that are great, he does much better. And guys with a certain style, when he's up against like a high flyer or his heel antics work a little better, comes across better in the ring. He can focus more on a body part. But against Mox, who's like try to focus a body part on Mox, he's going to rip you into pieces.
in pieces
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work as well, right? And then Mox also had to flip over to kind of play, heel in that match too. There was a bit of a discrepancy in the crowd, and
Yeah,
like the whole match was mixed up, and it was like the whole story was bad, right? I mean,
agreed.
that was the problem with
Agreed.
that match, is that whole story of MJF getting the title was just terrible, like
Yeah.
I've said before. So yeah, yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do at this point, but I guess we will find out on multiple talking segments.
Yes, AEW, the all elite talking.
Yes, I can't wait for
Yeah.
someone to see. Even look at even in New Japan with a guy like Jay White,
Mhm.
right? I mean, look, he may not be the greatest wrestler ever to hit the face of the planet in the ring, but he's good. And he's got
He's
some good
good.
moves, and he's hard hitting, and he can move. He's not the greatest guy on the mic on the face of the planet, but he's good. And he's cocky and he's arrogant, and he comes across well, right? So you look at a guy like that who you put him in the ring, and his matches go from like decent to excellent, depending on
Yep.
who he's fighting, right? But he never wrestles in a really boring
Yeah,
way.
and that's the thing. Like like even when MJF did the Ric Flair strut, I was like, yeah, that's exactly who you remind me of. Like the old Ric Flair, like not the old Ric Flair matches. I'm talking like the recent Ric Flair old man matches
Mm-hmm.
where he's just wrestling so slow and playing the generic heel. I'm surprised MJF, you're not getting hits like multiple times and then falling over in your face like Ric Flair afterwards, right? I'm
Right,
surprised you're not doing that already.
right.
So it's funny because Ric Flair actually got asked the question about MJF and how good he is on the mic, and I think someone had compared them both together, and Ric Flair kind of said, "No, MJF is good, but not as good as Ric Flair." And I'm like, you know what? I can't sometimes disagree with what Ric Flair is saying there, but like I'm looking at these like MJF's again his title run, and I'm like, okay, Danielson's next, then Kingston. Are you gonna try to go through the entire roster? Like as he said, he's not going to be wrestling a lot. He's going to be doing pay-per-views. He's going to main events, right? And I'm like, but I don't care to see you there. Like, should I
Mm-hmm.
just turn off the TV when you start wrestling? Because I just don't. Hey, I could have turned off the TV from after the first match and been totally happy, right?
Well, then you would have missed Jericho and and and
I would have
Andretti
missed the entire Jericho storyline.
and,
But
and the
hey,
House of Black match.
oh, was awesome too. Yeah, this
Yes.
Dynamite was pretty well done,
Yeah, no,
right? Pretty well done.
it
Yeah.
started off amazing and it went
Mhm.
along quite well for quite a while. And you got to Jericho and Action Andretti, and you had like a Hangman promo. I mean, in all
Oh,
honesty,
so
look,
awesome.
you
So
had the
good.
beat down to the Acclaimed. I mean, this thing
Mhm.
was motoring along
The
really well,
beatdown.
and then we
Yeah.
got MJF to end it, and I'm like, yeah, and then we had MJF. Okay.
And yeah, and even like the fans were behind Ricky Starks,
Hmm.
like right. So like the cheering was for Ricky, the everything like MJF. Like I'm like, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see.
No.
Honestly at this point, like this bidding war thing, I'm like, dude, like yeah, you fit in there. You should go.
Yeah,
Like you should
exactly.
just go.
In fact, Tony, just give him his release. Let him go. Put the title on
Oh,
someone else. Like, and
oh
you
my
know what? I
goodness.
like the idea of Eddie Kingston winning the title from it because
Yeah.
I want to see the day after he wins the title his promo because
It,
he'll just be like a bawling baby in the middle of the ring.
yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
I'm gonna put my money on this now. I think that Eddie Kingston is going to beat MJF. I think because
Wow.
it's going to be so out there
Hmm.
that no one's going to expect it because MJF is saying he's taking this belt to next year.
Hmm.
I don't think he is. I
No, I don't
think
think he
I
is either.
think Kingston's going to beat him.
Yeah, because I think that the wrestling fans will get incredibly bored with AEW if you leave the belt
Yeah,
on MJF till next year. So yeah, I would love. Yeah, that's right. I'd love to see a good promo or a good feud with Brian Danielson,
Kingston. Yeah,
and
yeah,
then somewhere in there Eddie Kingston gets mixed up in it,
yeah.
right? Or MJF's just like, well, I beat Brian Danielson, so now no one can challenge me, right? Eddie Kingston comes out and MJF just doesn't take him seriously at
Yep.
all. That's actually a good story, right? MJF just
Hmm.
treating him like shit, can't possibly beat me, and then like Jericho with Andretti,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Jobber, total jobber, can't win, can't win a match, right? The crowd is going to be so behind Eddie Kingston, it's not even funny.
Eh, Hey, Kenny did it with Pac. He totally looked past him, right? And then Pac
Mm-hmm.
just took him out. So the AEW does it so well, right?
Yeah,
And I love when they do this.
yeah,
So yeah, you know what? MGF versus Eddie Kingston, I'm actually excited for. I'm
yeah. Oh yeah,
actually
me
excited
too.
for that.
Yeah, I'd
So,
like to see that too because I think that Eddie Kingston will just kick his ass and win the
oh
title,
yeah,
so that would be great.
oh yeah.
Yep. Anyway, I think that we're going to have to say that probably was not an Omega level Dynamite.
No, it wasn't.
No, no, it wasn't. Although there was an Omega level match on the show.
Oh,
If
100%. Oh,
in fact,
all these guys.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I would almost go so far as to say, just based on emotion, the Jericho match was at that. It had Omega level emotion
I think Jericho had like the biggest shock of the night.
in it.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
like wow, that was fantastic. So yeah, I
the
would agree with
announcers
that.
comparing it to like pivotal moments in AEW
Yeah.
history, right? I'm like, wow, okay, you may be overselling this a little bit there,
Yep.
Tony and
Just a
Taz.
bit.
Calm down a bit, but yeah, but that does bring our look back on winter is coming to an end. And as I look out my window and the freezing rain is falling, winter is indeed coming. So, but as the great one said tonight, goodbye, everybody, and good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.